Hey, what's up, y'all? It is your boy, Alan Maldonado, the host of Mal 20 Mindset. This is a running podcast for elite runners, novice runners, and those that love supporting the runners in their lives. Man, I could barely put together words to just describe the inspiration, the fortitude, the mental, the physical strength. Just it's unfathomable. Just reciting these. She's ran 163 marathons, 83 Boston qualifiers, 147 half marathons, 15 7, 21 ultras. This is a real person, you guys. Like, this is a real person. Nadia Ruiz, welcome to the pod. Thank you so much for joining us. How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Amazing. I just finished a lunch run, so I've got my dopamine hit, my happiness inside of me. So I'm really
Come on.
excited to have this conversation with you.
I'm so excited to talk running with you. I've been in the entertainment business for over 20 years, and similar to acting, running is sort of taking over my entire world. Where I would find myself at award shows in the corner with random people talking about running, completely forgetting about the things that I'm supposed to be doing, the business of why I'm there. So excited to have this conversation with you, in your experience. And if you can, let's go back to the why. Like, where did your running journey begin? Like, how did it all start for you? Was it just physical? Was it a mental thing? Like, I know a little bit about your story, but I would love for you to share with the audience of where did the running begin with you?
I think it started for me since I started I found it as a child, and I found it was a mental thing. So it was a mental challenge of like, can I do this? I want to do this. I can do this. So even just having that inner dialogue conversation with myself at age 12 is where it started. And there's a few seeds that got planted in order for it to get to bloom as it is today. And like one of the seeds was my middle school math teacher. He was running marathons and he was also the PE teacher. And I wasn't athletic at all. I just have two left feet. I cannot do team sports. I can't play soccer, can't play basketball, can't play like any team sports. I'm just not coordinated enough to get the skills right. So I was the middle child of three. I wasn't the child that was into community sports. My sister and my brother were very athletic when they were young and kids, and they were just normal kids, like just playing all those team sports. For me, I was in that art competitions, math competitions, arithmetic competition, like just competition after competition, but for my mind and for my hands. And so I just accepted it, and that was just the way things were or were then. So when I saw my math teacher, just like I'd never knew the concept of a marathon. Seen him look just really tall and slim and fit, and I was like, that's really cool that he's living the culture that he's talking about. Like he's a PE teacher and a math teacher. So he speaks about like just math, numbers, and then he's also trying to encourage physical fitness, but also he has a lot. When we're kids, we think of teachers of not having a life outside of actually teaching. So he's like, oh yeah, I did these marathons. I did the LA marathon. I run and I'm happy. I'm like, I love that. I love the fact that there is life outside of a teacher's role in the classroom. And so that gave me hope. I'm like, oh, this is a real person. And I guess this goes back to the storytelling aspect, that connectability, being able to identify somehow with somebody really matters. So that was the first seed. The second seed was my dad. He's an immigrant. Both of my parents are immigrants from Ecuador, and I was made in Ecuador, and I was born here in the U.S. And we grew up in poverty and very, very humble beginnings. And all I saw was my parents just working hard day after day and always telling us like, "You're your opportunity is going to be by how hard you work. It's the work ethic that you develop now, and that those will translate later when you discover what your passions are. And so basically make a living off of that, whatever that brings you joy. And so it was an amazing message to get from immigrant parents. And so like just completely unknown of what the culture was here and having to adapt and learn and quickly adapt. So I was like, okay. So I always like observed my parents, their ethic, their work ethic. And I always saw that they worked really, really hard at anything they wanted to achieve and do. They'd have to put in hours and hours and hours and hours. And it was just something that was ingrained in them. And I'm like, that's what success is like when you will receive results, the more dedicated you are to it. So my dad on the side also, again, aside from being a high work ethic, there still needs to be joy in the process. There still needs to be something that lights you up and brings joy into you. That's a healthy medium. So for him it was sports. And I was at LA Marathon actually in, I think, 1996, around that time, where an Ecuadorian came to the States, competed in the LA Marathon, and he won. And so, like, you don't see
Oh,
somebody
wow.
usually from a minority color winning a major marathon. So we
Yep.
actually went to that marathon. My dad went
Yeah.
to go cheer, and he brought me along. And I'm a little girl at that point, and still like probably maybe sixth grade, seventh grade, whatever it was. And I just saw the fire and joy in my dad's face, like cheering for his country, his
Wow.
team, someone that looked like him that was in the
Yeah.
front winning. So
Yeah.
that like empowered me and like touched my heart to see my dad so passionate and so full with emotion for somebody that he didn't know, but because he looked like him, because we came from the same culture, that mattered. So it's that connectability again. Like if someone you can connect with in some deep way, it makes it more powerful within you. So that was the second seed. The third and final seed was I was it's still middle school around the time. These are all happening around the same time. It was still middle school. I was doing my homework in the living room, and I turned on the TV, and I had some background noise, and I put on the Ironman World Championship showed up on TV, and they used to broadcast it every like after the race comes on in October. And I never knew what a triathlon was. I never knew what the Ironman was, and I was just completely intrigued that people would put themselves through this. A 2.4-mile swim,
Right.
112-mile bike ride, and then you run a
Right,
marathon.
right, right.
But for
Yeah.
me, as I've shared with my community and I've shared with my athletes, is that the most empowering message that I got again was connecting with the real stories, with the people there that was showing up that have our parents that have full-time jobs, have careers, that are overcoming some hardship in their life because they put this goal onto themselves, and they're either overcoming divorce, they're overcoming cancer, they're overcoming a loss of a child. That message was like, that's where the message came in. Is like, can I do that? Yes, I can. I will do that. So it's just that inner dialogue of creating that within myself. And it just was that was a third seed that kind of got planted with those three things that were really kind of close together in proximity. And I just connected the dots. I was like, I will do an Ironman. What do I need to do to learn that? So that's kind of how my journey started, and it got inspired. And it had a lot of factors in come into play. So I was doing my research, and I saw that the Ironman was very expensive. The Ironman, the triathlon sport is very expensive.
Right,
And
right,
we're
right, right,
talking
right.
like this is 1996, 1997. So, 30 years ago,
And you're
I was just
12.
like,
But it's like
yes. And
this is like most 12-year-olds are talking about maybe volleyball, like maybe a least expensive sport than an Ironman at 12. So yeah, no, that is fascinating.
I
Wow.
don't again, I was
So
just wired a little differently, I guess, and it didn't just happen. It was a wiring of watching my parents be such hard workers, and from the moment that I can
yeah.
from remember, that wiring started from my memories in like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. You work hard, you get dedicated, you do something that you love, and you find a way. And just because you're doing something that you love or you don't, like you still have to challenge yourself. It's going to have hard days. You're going to have great days. And I just learned that through practice within the passions that I was exploring
Yeah.
at that time. And when I explored the Ironman, I was like, I need to wait till I'm 18. I need to have some money for that. And so That's why I actually, decided to pick one of the sports. I thought naturally running would be the easiest, and I didn't know about smaller
Yeah.
races. I didn't know about, like, half marathons, 5K, 10Ks. I didn't know that existed. I literally just knew from my math teacher, he ran the marathon. My dad, he went to go spectate a marathon, and then all of a sudden there's a marathon piece in the Ironman. So, naturally, what I'm thinking at 13, I'm like, "I'm gonna do a
Wow.
marathon." So, I signed
Yeah.
up for my first marathon when I became a freshman in high school, and that's where my running journey started. And whoa, did I hit a brick wall that day.
Oh, so let's talk about that for a second. As far as for one, that is an incredible sort of set of events where visual representation is so important. Like my mother, I grew up in a single parent home. I saw my mother get up at 4 a.m. and go to work and not get home until 8 p.m. And that was just the routine. So hard work has her her showing me what hard work is the reason why I found success in acting as well, to persevere and overcome the odds and just get up every day and put together, be 2% better than I was yesterday. That was the things that I saw and from my mother. But to see this in this specific order as far as how the marathon, that just only speaks to how special of the things you've accomplished. So let's talk about this first like that just sounds crazy. At 13, what was I was running the streets at 13. Like I was not worried about running a marathon at 13. Freshman year, I was worried about my if my outfit was up to par, like if I was getting actual friends at school. But you're preparing for a marathon. Let's talk about like how does one train as a 13-year-old for their first marathon? I'm so curious. Where was it you and your father training for this together? Like was it like, all right, I'm doing this and you sat down with your teacher and he gave you like how did you go about training? Because it's one thing to go see these things, see it on television and be like, all right, now I'm about to go do it. What was that like? And especially back then when like now because of social media and like I talk about even the 10 years ago when I began to run and how hard it was to find sort of information, and it would be like these side conversations that I'll have and you'll just be exchanging these like gems. This is 96, 97. Like how are you where did you come up with the plan? How did you figure this thing out?
I didn't. So I didn't. Again, it was a mental task. And that's why when you said, like, what was this? Is a physical thing, is a mental thing, emotional thing, and usually all those come into play.
Yeah.
But this was actually a mental
Yeah.
thing completely because I went in with ignorance,
Okay.
and sometimes ignorance is bliss, but at a point you need to kind of get more educated and to know the skill set and how to do it properly.
Right,
So
right,
again,
right.
around this time, again, middle school, like, as for most of a children, like it's really a tough transition period. You're going from being a child in elementary, your preteens, and you're about to transition into adolescence in your high school.
Yes.
So I was bullied. I was bullied pretty bad in middle school. I mean, my bullying probably started even in elementary, and I always had to pocket that. I always had to tuck that away. I would have conversations with my partner, and it's just like, I go, that really impacted me, and I didn't realize how much it impacted me because it didn't just happen once or twice. It just happened year after year after year after year until I became a runner, until I became an athlete, until I started high school, until I actually went through puberty. So it was like a huge eye opener. I'm like, I'm still the same person. I still have the same work ethic. I still do the same things. What is it that my environment, my peers actually changed in order to not make fun of me anymore, to not pick at me, to not try to bring me down, to not. So it was a very interesting way to like explore that dynamic. But so in middle school, because I was getting bullied and my mom wanted me to protect myself, it was interesting because my mom actually signed me up for community boxing. So I did boxing for 3 years, and that's where I developed my endurance engine. Again, this comes back from like the work ethic. You need to be dedicated to something if you want to excel at it. you put in your whole heart into it. And that's all I knew. That's all I knew is like you put your mind, you put your heart, you put your mental, you put everything into it. Because I observed that. And I applied that, and everything I did that for, whether it was art, if it was competitions in math, if it was competitions in whatever it was, or even like when I played an instrument, I jumped years in it and skill set because I was just so devoted to practicing, to just trying to get my skill right. So with boxing, if you know, I mean, anybody that knows boxers, their training regimen is out of this world. It's unreal, and it's
Oh yeah,
dedicated,
no,
and you're
I
dedicated.
box as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
dedicate to
it's some of
so
the
many.
best, as most in shape athletes are boxers, to say the least. So no,
Yes,
to be an elite boxer, it takes an enormous amount of dedication to get to that physical aspect, along with the mental of someone trying to punch you.
yes,
like, so,
yes.
yeah, no, I could
So
see
I
how
wasn't
you
I
built your
wasn't I
endurance in
wasn't
that
elite.
space.
I wasn't elite, but I was a child learning, and I
Yeah,
signed,
yeah,
we trained 3 hours a day after school. I trained 5 days a week. So as a child, I was training 15 hours a week, and that's all I knew. I was like, "That's what you need to do in order to get better." So that developed my engine. So you can kind of think of that as your base training. You're getting yourself ready for how to train for a half marathon properly, how to train for a marathon properly. So again, it's very specific, the sport to boxing. It's not, you're not going to just go jump into boxing and join a marathon. I mean, I know I did, but I wouldn't recommend that. So when I started high school cross country, that's when I started running, it's like actual running races. And that's where I jumped in. I signed up for the LA Marathon. I started freshman year, 1998. And then the following track season is when March comes around for LA Marathon. So it was 1999. And I was 14 years old at the time. I sat my parents down. It was just a couple weeks before. I was like, I signed up for the LA Marathon. I'm going to do this. This is on my way to do an Ironman when I get older after 18. I'm probably going to have to wait till after 18 because it's an expensive sport. So I'm going to have to probably wait till after grad school and
yeah.
professional school in order to do that. So this is my stepping stone. And my parents were just like, uh, okay.
I can
Like, just,
my mouth is dropped right now because I can just imagine you saying this at 13 years, and I'm pretty sure you said it the same way, and they're just like,
yes. There
"Okay,"
was very few things.
like
There were very few things that I would ask permission for. I would actually negotiate with my parents, and I would
yeah,
tell them, this is what I'm earning and this is what I'm doing. This is the reason why I'm doing these things. And so they've kind of gotten
mm,
used to that behavior. And I was very like just logical at that point. So when I sat them down, I'm like, my dad is like, well, if you're doing the LA marathon, then I'm gonna sign up for my marathon and I'll do it with you. And he was 40 years old at the
come
time.
on,
So
come on."
he yeah, so I inspired my dad to sign up for his first. He never really had a running background per se, but he came from like usually in the Latin culture, soccer is really, really dominant in our culture, and especially in Latin community like countries. Like Ecuador is like loves soccer; they live soccer. You know, if you go to that country, it's like you just see everyone always aspiring to want to become that professional soccer player. So my dad was like that. He
Yeah.
loved it. He loved watching it. He loved playing it. He did a competitive league as an adult in his 30s, and so he was 40. He's like, I could do this. Like, how hard could it be? So we both went in with
Right,
the
right, right.
intention of like testing ourselves and challenging ourselves. But it was for both of us, it was this mental task of like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to test myself and see.
I know that's right. I mean, he just finished watching a Ecuadorian win the marathon. He was charged up. He was ready. He was like, "Oh, I could do it too." So I could. I know that had to be something special for you guys as far as to come together through this training process. So like how was like what did you guys run your long miles? Like how again, going to to your first time training for a marathon, what did you guys do or did not do rather in leading up to this first marathon?
We didn't train for it at all. Zero. So all I had behind me was one.
Okay.
I had one cross country season behind me, and so as a 14-year-old, I was running probably only 20 miles a week, if that. But I was running only like
Uh-huh.
3 5 milers. I had some speed work under me. So my VO2 max was really pretty high and it was really strong, but I didn't have endurance. So that's where the mind kind of comes over and will fill in the gaps. And so if you have a lot of gaps, like I did, the mind is going to have to get recruited to fill in a lot of those gaps. Same thing for my dad. Like he didn't run anything structured. He didn't do anything. Like he wasn't even having any weekly mileage. He was just like so determined mentally, like my daughter's doing it. I'm gonna man up and do it too. Like
I'm doing
there's
that.
no he will not show any weakness. He does not, and that's kind of where I've learned my mental fortitude as well. So, what we did last minute, which again I would have never advised this because it doesn't make it for a very pleasant experience unless you love pain.
Right, right.
So, if you are a
Yes,
glutton for
yes.
pain, which I am, I wouldn't advise this. So we were about 2 weeks before, maybe 10 days before the LA Marathon, where we both signed up. And he's like, well, maybe we should try to do a long run together.
Yeah,
And so we did. And it was about a week before. And we went for, I believe, like we tried to do like an 8 miler. And I had never really run over 5 miles, just in cross country. So I went and I did 8 miles. And I was mentally, I wasn't locked in. So I wasn't there yet. And I was
yeah,
crying. I was like,
yeah.
I'm exhausted. I'm tired. My dad even like pulled me because we had my dog at the time. He pulled the dog leash around my waist. He's like pulling me. He's like, "You could do this. You could do this." I was like, "Oh my god, what did I sign myself up for?" Um,
And
but
this was
that
your
was
idea.
yes, yeah. So that was it. It was literally like one training run, and I didn't do it really well. I was suffering, but we mentally committed to it. We showed up to the starting line, and we knew that we were going to have to recruit every mental fiber in order to get our goal done that day. And it was a learning experience by far. You've probably have come across maybe some people who have done marathons and without training, and it is
Oh,
extremely painful while you're
that was
doing
my
it,
first
and
one.
yeah, and it's extremely painful, the recovery after, like, you can't walk for a couple weeks. If you're well
Yes.
trained, you usually recover
Yes.
pretty well. So, that was exactly kind of what happened to me. I as even a fit 14-year-old, I really couldn't walk for a couple weeks afterwards. I was like, "This shredded my legs." It shredded it. But I had so much fire inside of me after finishing my first marathon. I was like, "I am ready to train properly next time."
So that's what, again, that just leads me to, I'm just fascinated by, because I ran my first marathon with no training, broke my foot, it was terrible. I broke it at mile 22, so I did not know I broke it, but no training, it showed up for sure. It showed up. So I want to talk about, this is 98. You've 2 weeks out, 14 days from before the marathon starts. I want to talk about your first sort of race day or race weekend experience, like the expo, picking up the bibs. Like, how was it sort of visualizing or actually seeing the things that you witnessed, whether it be the marathon, and also just the Iron Man on television. Now you're at the expo. You're getting your bib. Like, there's people right now that have that are listening that may have never experienced a marathon weekend. Please take, if you can, take me back to your first time going to the expo, picking up your bib, and I'm sure your father was there. What was that experience like?
It race expos, especially if it's your first few, as your first one, are so full of energy, so full of emotion, so full of because you are with your people. You're with there with a bunch of like goodies for you on the running arena, and then you all are surrounded with runners who are all coming together for a common goal to do this race and share that experience together. And the beautiful thing is like, I mean, I started running before social media. It was even around, and so, like, you now are connecting in real life with people who all have a story, all have a reason why they're there, all have a powerful why that got them to that start, like that they're going to their starting line. So that energy is so much fun and so it, it just it helps light you up, but you also have to learn how to manage those emotions that are happening, and that because then it could get you maybe doubtful, it get you nervous, it can get you all these sorts of feelings because it's natural when we care for something and we've devoted ourselves like mentally, emotionally, and physically. When it comes down to the line where we have to perform, it's like you got to like learn how to manage that as an athlete does, as a champion. It's a champion mindset.
Yeah.
So coming into the expo, it was so much fun. And I mean, this is like 1999 expo. It was still at the LA Convention Center. This is when the course actually started and finished in downtown LA, and my dad and I would go there,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
like, you really did enjoy bringing your family because back then, I mean, sponsors were a little bit different. There was a lot more goodies to, like, hand out. I mean, people would give
I
out boxes of
heard, I
rice.
heard.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
heard yeah, I heard the goodies have got we've getting shortchanged this time around. That is what I
Yes.
heard from a lot of people, like, "Yo, the goodies back in the day was it."
Yes, you literally can go to expos and come out with, like, bags full of stuff that was just like, "Wow, I
Wow.
feel like I just went on a shopping spree and it was all free." So, that was
Yes.
those first few years, it was like that, and then as I was continuing to run races, I was, like, noticing that the goodies were, like, less and less and less and less to the point where I come out sometimes I'm like, "I didn't get anything." You go to the expo, like, you have to just
Right,
buy
right,
everything
right.
now. So, much different
Yep,
back then, like,
yep.
literally, like, entire family would come out with a bunch of goodies. So that's the fun part. It's really, really fun for runners to show up and get there. Now, like, I'm 29 years later of racing, I have done so many that I understand the energy output that happens there. So I try to usually I would recommend always to my athletes is try not to go to the expo if you can the day before because you should be meditating. You should be resting. You should be emotionally slow and peaceful and visualizing. Try to do the expo 2 3 days out and then get all that energy out, mingle and socialize and have fun and do the things that you want to do that makes part of the expo. But day before you need to be shutting down. Think of any pro elite athlete out there in their sport. They are just really zoning in and we have to be like that if we want to perform for ourselves. It's not about being professional or elite. It's just finding that inner peak performance, finding that inner power within us. So that's kind of I tried now is I go to the expos always 2 days before and I have community or my athletes like, are you going the day before? I'm like, no. These days, I need a lot more recovery and a lot more, like, rest, and so I you will not find me at expos usually the day before. It's just I've I've
I can
learned I get
imagine.
really drained, I get really tired, and that takes away from your
Yeah,
race because it's a lot of energy output on
yeah,
race day. So that's kind of why I would recommend always
yeah.
2 days before. On some of the bigger runs, the bigger
Okay,
races, they've got 3-day expos, so you can even go 2 3 days out. But that energy
yeah,
is amazing. I
yeah.
highly,
So
highly
let's
recommend it.
so let's talk about race day. Let's talk about race day. Your first time, like again, there's people listening that may have not experienced a marathon. As far as race day morning is something unique in itself. As far as you got this large amount of people at the crack of dawn excited to do something like excited. It's 5 a.m. and everyone's charged up. There's a sea of porta potties. Like, what was your first experience of race day morning, and how did you take it all in?
I was extremely charged up. Just like you said, adrenaline, happy, excited. I don't feel like because you don't know what you don't know. So it was ignorance. I didn't know the amount of
Hmm.
pain I was about to get myself into. So there was just complete ignorance and being naive of like, I can't wait. I can't wait to this energy, waking up. It was an entire family
Yeah.
affair. My family dropped us off at downtown LA, and they were going to cheer us on the course. It was my mom, my sister, and so my dad. Like we lined up, so energized, so excited. And again, my dad's very like stoic, where he holds in his emotion as
Hmm.
usually adult men do, and he's not going to show fear or anxiety or if like there's anything
Yeah.
negative happening, he's going to be like, I'm here with my daughter. I need to set an example and be like, we're ready to go as an athlete would.
Yeah.
So we show
Yeah.
up and the energy of a starting line, whether it's a small race, a medium sized race, or a large race like LA Marathon, it's something that resonates, and I never forget that first. And I will be towing my line with LA Marathon in March from the 28th year in a row. So it's been
Hmm.
28 years of LA
Wow.
Marathon
Come
consecutive
on.
with my dad, and
Incredible.
every single one is special. Every single starting line is special, and I mean, getting chills right now, like literally, like because when you toe that line, it's like what it took to get there, what it took, what did you overcome? What did you fight? What did you sacrifice? What did you dedicate? Like, and your why. So that's what makes that race morning so special right before you take off. The easy part is quote unquote easy is when you already take off because then you get to do what you love. You get to enjoy your gift of movement. You get to enjoy your gift of running. It's just the anticipation for it is really the hard part of just managing those expectations or emotions that are happening. But as a little girl, as a child, 14 years old, I was just charged up and happy. And you hear the song, the LA song, you
Yeah.
hear the helicopters, you see all the runners kind of
Yeah.
excited, you know, this is before cell phones. I mean, I don't think really anybody had cell phones back then, so you don't see anything of capturing or nobody. It's just everybody's
No.
present. Yeah, so it's very special to just count it down and that the morning goes by super fast. And then once the gun goes
Yes, it
off,
does.
it's like a release, a release to go.
Yeah. And so that's my next question as far as the gun goes off, you're in your first couple of steps in this marathon that you've manifested in a way from just witnessing these moments of people accomplishing hard things, and now you're starting this thing. What were the thoughts going through your head? Now not only are you starting this, you're starting this alongside your father. So I know that that is special. But when those first few steps, like what were the thoughts going through your head?
You know, this is the 28 years ago. It's the thoughts literally were just it was ignorance. It was just excitement. I was like, "I can't wait to do this," and completely oblivious to, like, pacing, completely oblivious to, like, proper
Yeah.
socks, proper shoes, proper attire, proper, hydration, proper fueling. None of that was
Yeah.
going through my head. None of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so all I thought about was I need to get to that finish line and I'm going to run my heart out thinking that
Mm,
the pace I was going to start at, I was going to keep holding that pace and it was going to be
yeah.
again not as hard as I anticipated physically. And so as I collect the miles, I was very grateful that once I passed mile 8 from our one long run, I didn't hurt as much because you have adrenaline. You have a lot more going on in your
Yeah.
body biochemically. So
Yeah.
it is a numbing pain as well. It's like, oh, I'm energized. I'm great. But then the wall really
Yeah.
hit for me at mile 12. So here I'm still seeing my dad
Oh,
completely
so
stoic, just staying.
that is my next question as far as like when the mile 20 mindset, when does the wall happen? When does that that moment where you versus you and you may have the upper hand? Whatever trauma, whatever issues you're dealing with, even at the age of 14,
14.
what again, what mile was it? I think you said it was 12, but also what were the thoughts that were coming in your head?
Defeat. I felt completely deflated,
Mm,
defeated, and overwhelmed with disappointment in myself. And it was an insane amount of negative thoughts that were overwhelming. And I didn't expect that. I I just and it was coming from all the physical pain that I was feeling because I was completely new to that. I didn't understand that the pain that I was feeling in my legs and in my body, and it started crawling up even like higher. I'm like, why can't I handle this? If I can handle racing at race pace for a 3 mile, if I can handle boxing, I can handle being in the match, I can handle being hit and hit others. Why can't I handle this? So it was all of those negative emotions that hit at mile 20, and that was my wall. It was a very hard wall, and I don't think it was so much physical, it was more emotional at that point. It was an emotional wall, an overwhelming power of weight that was just pushing me down because of the physicality that I was feeling. So I sat on the ground, I started crying, and I told my dad, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry I got you into this. I'm sorry I let you down. I'm sorry I let myself down." And I just it was it, and I feel it again right now. And my dad, he it's almost like he just knew the right thing to say, and he kneeled next to me. He's like, "Mija," he's like, "if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. I believe in you. You need to say right now, I believe in myself. I will do this." And it's like, we will finish this marathon together. We are going to cross that finish line together, step by step, together. And so to see my dad say that and do that and also be empowered to do that, and even I knew he was hurting too, but he didn't say anything. He's like, "Let's do this, Neha." Like, so I stood up and I was like, "Okay." And that's where it flipped. It flipped because my body's still extremely hurt. I still felt those emotions as well. It didn't erase them. I just learned to manage them because now my dad inserted the skill set of like, you need to recruit your mind. You need to recruit your mind because it is your most powerful tool. And once that shift happened, I got up, still the same pain, but then I started getting up back on cadence, back on pace. And I still felt the emotions that I was feeling, but now it started to transform into different emotions like, I can do this. I can do this. I will do this. I will get there. And as much as this hurts, I am teaching myself that my mind will overcome my body and push me through and get to the finish line with my father because he believes in me. And if he believes in me, then I better say I believe in myself because that's where it begins. You have to believe in yourself, and if you don't believe in yourself yet, you've got to create that mindset of wiring yourself and convince yourself over and over. I will do this. I will do this with such conviction. So that's where the switch happened. And that was my wall. But it was that transformation of balancing the physical, emotion, and mental. And we shuffled ourselves to the finish line, and literally from mile 12 to the finish it was almost a blur. It almost like became a monotonous that it almost erased from my memory because everything from that point I remembered, but from 12 to 26 it was like you need to grind, you need to focus, and you need to push yourself to get there. So right when we crossed, my dad grabbed my hand, he pulled it over our hands, and we both cried. Like, I cried from pain, I cried from emotion, I cried from like, I did this. And I, from that point, I was like, I can do anything. I can do anything.
Come listen. And I'm not surprised you're doing LA in particular for the 28th time. Like I know all the girl dads out there are fighting tears right now. Listen to this story. That is such a beautiful moment to have had with your father. Is such a powerful and pivotal moment, not just in the race but in your life. You're 14, you're in the middle of your maturation years, and just to have this powerful moment, not just because sometimes when you're a parent and you have these conversations with your kids, a lot of times there are a lot of hypotheticals on like do this and then you'll get the results, and all of the girl dads right now wiping tears off of their face of just how magical of a moment that is to finish the finish the marathon that you guys didn't train didn't train for. So I can only imagine how grueling physically and mentally you guys both actually experienced together. And oh man, you guys are inspiration to say the least. And just how powerful of a moment that is carried on for 28 years. It is not, I'm not surprised, and I'm again honored to have this conversation with you about it. My next question is, it's almost, I just want to know, but like, how do you feel after completing that race? It changed you because that's one out of 163. So obviously it changed you in a way to make you run more. But I want to know, I guess, you as a person outside of running, how did that one marathon change your life?
I fell in love with the feeling of empowerment. I felt that I'm invincible. I felt that I could do anything. And I felt so internally and mentally strong that I was like, I want to do that again and I want to do it better. And I want to see how I can grow as an athlete, as a runner, as a person. And as all of us know, when we start our running journey, we don't know what to expect. But as we're going along that running journey, it's transformative. It's transformative of how much it actually pours over into other areas of our lives, and it makes us a better person. If we apply ourselves to try to really grow and to make progress and try our best, it's a beautiful, beautiful journey. And that's kind of what I almost like saw that. And like, I want to run. And it's crazy at that moment to say, like, I want to run for the rest of my life. I want this feeling again. And I always found a way to evolve and adapt to recreate that energy, that feeling. And I also was such a powerful feeling that I go, I want others to feel this too, because it's such a beautiful feeling. Like, I want my mom to feel it, my sister to feel it, my brother to feel it, my friends to feel it, my community to feel it. And it wasn't until years later, what I think it took probably another 8 years from that point when I did join social media. I didn't join social media until I finished grad school. So it's like literally like probably like low 20s, if that. And so that's where I was like, I want to help others to really feel this feeling that I'm feeling, because if I can do it, I know you can. And I know, as cliche as that sounds, because we do utilize that phrase, it was something that I knew was possible because I started from scratch. I started from ignorance. I started not knowing what to do. And there is a way to learn, and there is a way to transform and change and grow. I think as human beings, we are constructed to want growth. We want progress. And that's what makes the journey so beautiful.
Wow. I I I challenge you to pick out of all of these races. Like my next question is like, what what are some of again, it's so many. What were some of the funniest or funny moments or some outrageous moments while running a marathon? I've ran 14 and each race has its own story. So like I've lost my phone in the marathon. I've totally not wanted to run the race and walked and pouted and actually cursed out a fan like I was so out of my mind. Like I did not want to be there. Like I've had some crazy sort of memories while running, all beautiful moments. Can you recall maybe one or two of sort of these outrageous moments that as a marathoner we go through?
You know, it's crazy because I have so many race experiences, and now I'm almost like just numb to them, that because things are going to go wrong. So things that are going to go wrong,
Right.
and they're going to challenge you. They're going to make you angry. They're going to make you emotional. They're going to make you sad, and that people are like, this is what it's about. Like, why am I doing this? But like all those things is part of the
Right.
process, and they, to me, it's almost like normal and it's almost natural, like these things that happen. But I think the most vivid when
Mhm.
you said, about it's always a restroom issue. That's probably the biggest, like, embarrassment
Yeah.
and things that people runners worry about.
Yes.
Um, so thankfully, I've learned how to time your you can time your GI tract. You can teach and train your GI tract on making sure you don't have to go to the restroom as long as, something outlandish happens. And those things have happened to me. So, uh, it was probably in my late 20s, I think. A couple times when I've done a marathon and also when I've done an Ironman, I've gotten food poisoning. So I'd gotten food poisoning from whatever. That's a big fear of runners. Like when you go to a destination race and you're going to a restaurant and you don't know what you're ordering, you're enjoying yourself and you happen to get something bad that makes things come out here and come out from both sides. And so I had gotten food poisoning, but I
Whoa.
I was gonna say I'm gonna show up. It just not a good idea to run a marathon or an Ironman with food poisoning, because you will literally be desperately looking for porta potties, desperately like I just and then plus you're depleting yourself. So not only are you depleting yourself
Okay.
because of the food poisoning is trying to get out of you, but you're also depleting yourself from actually doing the
Yeah.
event. And you start to get very weak, you start to get dizzy, you start and it's not, I do not recommend that. It's not healthy and it's not safe. You could probably faint, you can hurt yourself, and it's just, again, I'm stubborn, and a lot of us runners and athletes are very stubborn, and so I wanted to keep showing up for that race. And there's been marathons that like that. Those were the vivid ones. Like there was a Phoenix Marathon. I think it was in 2012, where I had gotten food poisoning for the first time, and it hit me like mid race, and was literally rushing to the restroom, like scared that I was going to have an accident. And even made a phone call. I sat down. I think it was mile 16 or 17. I sat down. I was like, I don't think it's safe for me to finish because I don't want to have an accident. And the person I was talking to is like, "Are you sure? Do you want me to pick you up? No, no problem. It's like, don't worry, this is just a race." But in your head, it's never just a race. In your head, it's like, "No, I need
It's
to
no,
finish. Like,
no, no,
I'm not
I got to.
broken,
Eh,
so I'm gonna go and try it." And so
right,
I
right.
hobbled. I just walked myself. But it was always like that internal fear of having an accident, and that was scary.
Yeah, no, that listen, that happened to me my last marathon. I went for my first I've never tried to PR in the prior marathons. I've always loved helping first time marathoners run their first marathon. That's something that I love doing. I run with them to mile 20 and then that's when I leave them on their own personal journey. But this last marathon, I went for my first PR and I'm cooking. I'm cooking. I got 7 minute miles. I'm going for a sub three. I'm doing all right to mile 23. And I almost took a shit on myself. I had 3-inch shorts on, and I said, "Mm-mm, not today. No, 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 not today." I though that pace dropped dramatically.
Yeah,
Dropped dramatically. It was hard to hold a 7-minute mile while clenching your booty cheeks together. I
yeah,
had to slow it down, and now that was the one thing I said. I don't want it that bad. Like I said, I don't want it that bad for me to
yeah.
pull up to the finish line like that. So yeah, it is a I've definitely experienced that as well. So my sort of last question before we get to our last segment of the pod is, and I call it sort of my running altar call. Like there's somebody listening right now that may be on the fence of beginning their running journey or deciding to run their first marathon. From your vast experience, what would be your number one tip to that person?
We all started somewhere. And so it takes baby steps to start. Think of how we all taught ourselves to walk. We tried again and again and again, and we fell several times until we could walk. And that's kind of what our running journey is we are going to fall. We are going to fail. We're going to make mistakes, but it's the journey to getting there. And when you start to run and find your flow, it's a beautiful state, and every run becomes special. Every run, whether it's a workout, a long run, a short run, an easy run, it becomes special. So it all starts with those first few steps and not giving up.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So okay, we're gonna go to our last segment, which is the knees out speed question. That's my running crew, the knees out coalition. You answer these sort of one word, but please elaborate. Knees out means yes, and knees in means no. So the first question is, were there ever a time in your training that you thought about quitting, but you still showed up for yourself?
Yes.
All right. So the next question is, do you think everyone has at least one marathon in them?
Yes. For sure. Yes. We were evolutionarily made to run
And
and
you
to move and be long distance.
okay. Um wow, you've kind of flipped this one over the head. Because I usually ask people if they're going to run another marathon, but I usually then if they run a marathon, I usually go to an ultra. Um, I guess my question is, what race or what challenge have you yet to tackle? Like, what is that next big thing? Because I like me and my friends, we plan to hike Mount Kilimanjaro. Like I'm definitely a person about challenges. I've ran with the bulls. Um, like you've checked off a lot of boxes when it comes to long distance. What box is left? Like what box is left? I'm so curious.
I want to do all the hardest marathons or hardest adventures out there, like mentally, physically, and emotionally. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a month-long trek. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 100, 200, 300-mile race. It's what fires you up inside. It has to be a goal that makes you excited and scared a little too. And so for me, those adventure races are what still light me up to this day. And I wake up excited to train. I wake up excited to eat healthy. I wake up excited to just research and plan because it's those goals and those adventures. And so for me, like I one of my goals was to do the Kilimanjaro marathon and summit Kilimanjaro as well. And that was something in the making for over a decade. For at least I think maybe even 14 years I had that goal. I was like, I want to do that one day. But for me, I want to do things a little differently. So I wanted to do it in a day. I said, if like if it's
Of
possible, I
course.
wanna do it in a day. Most people do it in 6,
Yeah.
7, 8-day treks, and I just put that arbitrary, like, "I wanna do it in a day," and, like, it came from building that confidence and trying other things too. So, back, like, 14 years ago, I had did the Inca Trail Marathon, and I did that. Most people, like, backpack the route for 3, 4, 5 days, but again, I wanted to challenge myself, "Can I do it in a day?" Like, if regular people do it in 3, 4, 5 days, like, I wanna try it in a day, and so I did. I found an organization, a race organization that did it, and I ended up coming in 3rd female overall, and that marathon had 10,700 feet of gain.
Come on.
Extremely challenging, but transformative. Like, the more you challenge yourself in something that makes you excited, that's where I wanted to kind of stand,
Yeah.
reinforce is that this goal has to be exciting for you. It's not because of what somebody else thinks is exciting, not what somebody else is trying to plant into you. It's not what
Yeah.
maybe your social media following wants you to do and starts encouraging. It's what is inside your heart that fires you up. And so that's what fires me up is like, what can I do that's a little bit differently and that makes me fired up? So that Inca Trail Marathon planted the seed of like, we wanted to try to do Kilimanjaro in one day. And that planted then the seed of like, can I go and run a marathon in Mount Everest, like a Mount Everest base camp. And like that has been resonating in my fibers lately. Like it's just, why am I waiting? Like why not now? Why not me? Why not go try? And if not now, then when? And so that's right now is the next one. And like that will plant a seed for something else. It's like, because I don't want to just look for the goal. I'm looking for the journey that gets me to the goal. That's what I love. And that's what I've learned for now 29 years as an athlete is it's just everything that gets you there because when you get to your event or to your race or to your challenge, whatever it is, that's your celebration. That's where you get to celebrate what you've overcome to get there. So for me right now is Everest is calling. I mean, Antarctica is calling. Some of like, what I do is I'll
Come
put in like,
on.
what are the hardest marathons in the world? And there's a beautiful list out there that I've bookmarked.
I love listen, you got me ready to go run to the moon, right? Like you got me charged up. No, I love it. I do have one question about the ultras. Before I get to my last question in the speed crowd. I've heard so many stories about people becoming, delusional or like seeing things like did you ever experience that while running your ultras? Have you had that happen to you before?
Yes. Yes. So it usually happens when you start
Oh,
to
oh
become
you did?
severe. Yes. So when you start to become severely sleep deprived, it happens. And it probably happens to almost everyone that's starting to get sleep deprived. Everybody has a different threshold as to how much sleep deprivation you can handle. I mean, just think of it is the most extreme torture to deprive a human being of sleep. And it's crazy that people as ultra runners put themselves through that and to get into a mental state that's completely outside of your body. And so it actually happened recently. The one was last year in Kilimanjaro on my way down. I was extremely depleted and I pushed and again I compressed what people normally do in 6, 7 days. I compressed it in a day. I summited Kilimanjaro in 17 hours. So once I saw the sunrise, I came down and I was extremely fatigued and I was eating, I was fueling, I was hydrating, I was doing all those things right because as I know as an athlete and as a coach. But I was coming down, I didn't stay on top of my caffeine like kind of dosage on an intake, and I started to like the hallucinations that were happening were wild. Like one of them was, I saw like in the distance a woman standing like tall, like very like almost combative, and she had like a row of boxers, and it almost looked like she was gonna sick them on me. And I'm like, I told my porter and my guy, I'm like, do you see that? Like, do you see that? And she's like, what? I go, "Is there dogs and dog
Like
bosses over there?
nothing's
Like,
nothing.
they're about to attack me. I think they're gonna attack." And he's like, "There's nothing there." And as I got closer, I saw it was just bushes, and I was like, "Okay." So I started seeing other things too, and I'm like, "Oh, this is
Wow.
what they're talking about." Like, it's just being so sleep deprived that your brain starts to misfire, like, just in your brain. It's wild.
It's wild to me because for some weird reason that just sounds inviting, which is crazy. Like, I'm like, oh wow, that sounds like, ooh, that sounds fun. Like that's just me.
You
I
know,
love it. I love this thing. That we. You said what?
I don't think the hallucinations were fun because I think I was scared. I was scared to see those things. So I didn't know that they were not real. I think there's some people who are probably used to more hallucinations, so like they can program and say, "Oh, that's not real. Like just relax. Like it's not there." But for me, I think some of the hallucinations that I saw potentially seemed real and they scared me. So that was not too fun.
Oh no, I'm thinking it just as a from the artist side of things, and you
Yeah.
know, I'm a painter as well, and like just from that aspect, it just seems cool to be like, where is? Imagine my mind unleashed. That's crazy. So that's like it's like, oh, I'm just fascinated on what the hell I'ma see. Like I'm just like
Yeah.
that's where my imagination is more like it's exciting to see that for me. And like I said, that may sound crazy, but I'm always fascinated by ultra marathon runners that with them being able to get past that and still just persevere and push through and just to again you doing a 3 to 7 day race in a day, just it's not surprising to hear that you saw a pack of dogs. And who's to say that the other guy wasn't that you didn't see him? He probably didn't.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something crazy there. Like that is oh, I love it. So my last question is, do you believe running can change a person beyond the miles?
Yes. 100% yes.
Mm.
And it can do it for the rest of your
And
life.
please elaborate if you may. Yeah,
It's a
beautiful,
transformative
beautiful.
process.
Well,
So even when you start and even when you're running, and this is why I've been in the sport for 29 years. It's because every race is special. Every year is different. Every year is special. And then the older and older I get through the competitiveness and the wear and tear, you start to evolve on like there's different reasons as to why a certain race is important or why a certain goal is important. And then it's also we're made to share experiences with people that we care about. So if you're sharing it with a loved one, a parent, a sibling, a child, a friend, overcoming pain, overcoming loss, like it's just it becomes very, very transformative. And that's why it can be transformative for the rest of your life.
mm, beautiful. Well, I'm Queen Nadia is what I'm gonna call you. 'Cause you are a legend. I am so fortunate and so appreciative of you taking this time out to have this conversation and share, and continue to share your story. I am so excited to see you and your father finish another LA marathon because that story alone is just it deserves its own movie on top of all of these other journeys and other these incredible feats that you're doing. If I could dump a whole truckload of flowers on you, that's what I would do because you deserve them. What you are doing is extremely special. You are a superhero. You are a living superhero. Forget X-Men, forget Thanos, forget all of those individuals. You are the real deal. So thank you and thank you for doing and being you. Um yeah. This is another incredible episode of Mal 20 Mindset. Please follow and subscribe. Peace, y'all.